This is a demonstration video for nonsense word fluency for the M-Class assessment. For remote testing, a teacher will need two devices. They will need their teacher iPad so they can score the student using the teacher website, and they will need their laptop to connect with the student via Zoom and to share their screen and to show the students the student pages. We will go ahead and practice letter sounds, which is going to be done using the NWF, which is nonsense word fluency. We will be using this to assess for correct letter sound and for words read correct in the decoding section. We'll be doing this for MOY. So let's go ahead and select the assessment. We're going to be using the benchmark form. Remember, we read the reminders so that way we can ensure fidelity amongst all of us testing. We need to stop the assessment when the 1-minute timer is up. Say keep going and point to the next letter or word if the student hesitates for 3 seconds. You can do this prompt as often as you need to. Note the clock at the top of the screen. This will help you note if 3 seconds have gone by in which to go ahead and prompt the student. Note the rolling word board that is at the top of the screen. This way you can see what word is next for the student to read. And discontinue assessment if the student does not get any sounds correct in the first 5 words. Now let's go to the student directions. In this assessment, students can either read each individual phoneme or they can read the word in its entirety for correct points. Teachers will need to share their screen on their Zoom with the student in order to display the student materials for this activity. This will begin with the 2 practice words, hap and lum, and then the next page, which has the rest of the nonsense words for the fluency test. Let's look at the student directions and read the script. Look at this word. It's a make-believe word. Watch me read the word. A, hap. I can say the sounds of the letters. A, or I can read the whole word. Hap. Now it's your turn to read a make-believe word. Read this word as best as you can. Make sure you say any sounds that you know. And the student would read the word ol, or they can say the word in its entirety, lum. We would mark the student response with the practice as correct or incorrect. In this instance, it is correct. That's correct. The sounds are ol, or lum. At this point, the teacher will continue to share their screen, but now change to the next page that has the complete list of nonsense words. Here are some more make-believe words. Start here and go across the page. When I say begin, read the words the best you can. Point to each letter and tell me the sound or read the whole word. Put your finger on the first word. Now we would go ahead and go to the assessment. When we are ready, we would go ahead and would click Start assessment. I am going to be doing the teacher portion and the student portion. So as the student is reading along, I'm going to be marking on the teacher's side the codes for the student responses. Let's go ahead and begin. Read the script. Ready? Begin. And we're going to click Start Assessment. I. D. T. Dut. Rim. Nop. T-a-d. Todd. A-d. Now that the time is up, the warning screen will come up to notify us that it is the end of the assessment. Was this measure administered remotely? We are going to assume that this was done remotely, which means that the student is in a different location than the teacher. So we're going to select yes. Now that the assessment is over, we would click done. And now when we go over, we see that letter sounds has a score. Let's take a closer look at the coding. With the first word, the student sounded out the first two sounds only, I. The student sounded out the individual phonemes. So I clicked for the and clicked for I. Now with the word dut, the student also read each individual phoneme, sounding out the word, but then went through and blended it all together. So first I marked for the individual phonemes. Then I went through and clicked and dragged because the student read the entire word. I could have also clicked at the bottom a button that says entire word to make the same marking. Rin. With this word, the student read the word rim. This time, the student did not sound out the individual phonemes. The student blended the word together, but said the incorrect sound for the final letter. So I marked that the student blended the entire word. However, since this last phoneme sound was incorrect, I tapped up here on the letter to mark that letter sound as incorrect. Nop. This time I can see that the student said the N sound, but then repeated themselves. But they blended the entire word together, so I clicked and dragged to show that the entire word was blended together in its entirety. With this word, tob, the student read the word Todd. So I marked each individual phoneme, but marked the last sound as incorrect. Then the student went through and blended it all together. So I clicked and dragged to show that the word was blended together. Have. With this one, the student read each individual phoneme, but did not blend the word together. And this is where the student ended their assessment.